meet my bride. Let's go for a ride in my newfangled automobile. Just where we will go, nobody knows, but it's sure a great way to feel. Behind the wheel of the speed meter steel, it's my newfangled automobile. Hello and welcome to Vintage Car History. I'm Wild Bill. Now, prior to World War I, it was quite common for a bicycle manufacturer to get into motorcycles, which led to car manufacturing, though many skipped the motorcycle stage. Some of these companies achieved considerable renown for their vehicles at the time, and there are those that, in some form or another, have remnants of the company still in existence. One such bicycle manufacturer in Germany did all of these things, but they didn't start out making bikes, but rather knitting machines. So today we're going to take a look at the early history of NSU. The story of NSU begins in 1844 with the birth of Christian Schmidt in the town of Bigetheim. His father was a school teacher and encouraged his son to get a basic education and then learn a trade. Christian chose locksmithing, completing his apprenticeship in 1860. He enjoyed mechanical engineering and proved to be a very capable locksmith and was quite intuitive when it came to all things mechanical. Schmidt also wanted to get into business, doing something beyond locksmithing, and in 1873 found a great opportunity. In the not too far away town of Reidlingen, there was a water mill where a workshop had been set up for manufacturing knitting machines. Christian was a good engineer and more than capable of running the works, but was not an expert at running a business, so he needed a partner. Enter Jorg Stoll. Stoll was from Salzburg, Germany, and educated in business management. He and Schmidt partnered up and for the next few years produced their machines at the mill, Schmidt doing the engineering and Stoll handling the books. Unfortunately, like what happens with many partnerships, they had a falling out, and Stoll left in 1876 to establish his own knitting machine company in Reutlingen, using what he had learned about engineering from Schmidt to ensure success. The company still exists and makes knitting machines to this day. Schmidt also learned a bit from his former partner and managed to run the company on his own for a time, but still needed help on the business side. In 1879, he recruited his brother-in-law, Gottlob Bonshoff, to help out. Gottlob, which coincidentally means praise God, had experience in both engineering and accounting, and with his help, the company prospered even further. In 1880, the firm relocated to a larger facility, a former sawmill in Neckarsulm, where there was a nearby hydroelectric plant to help keep the machines running. In 1884, Christian Schmidt passed away, and after some reorganization, Bonshoff became the new director of the company. He wished to take the company in new directions, which at first were bicycles in 1886. It was during this time that the company, whose name is too unpronounceable for me to try to say, became known as NSU. Bikes proved very profitable, and by 1892, knitting machines were dropped completely from the production line to focus solely on vehicles. Gottlob sought to expand the vehicular offerings of NSU, and so in 1901 offered their first motorcycle, a 2-horsepower moped of sorts, with the engine supplied by a new Swiss company, Zedel. In Germany, they were still sold under the old German naming, but soon all motorized vehicles would be badged as NSU, particularly due to wanting to break into markets in England and elsewhere. NSU motorcycles would achieve many racing successes and, within a couple of decades, be Germany's largest producer of motorcycles. It was in 1905 that NSU, under Gottlob's direction, began car production. Their first car was not of their design, but rather a license-built Pipe. Pipe was a Belgian car maker that invented the Hemi engine, and NSU's version was of significant quality. The cars had Hemi engines with overhead valves of some 3.7 liters, producing about 50 horsepower, quite impressive for an engine of that size at the time. The following year, they designed their own. A light car, it sported a 1.4-liter engine of 4 cylinders, though it was not of the overhead valve Hemi design. It was good for about 20 horsepower and linked to a 3-speed transmission and chain drive proved quite spry and popular. More models were quickly added, and by the end of 1906, several body designs and engines, the largest being 2.6 liters, were in the offing. The body styles included the 1020 Phaeton, torpedo, and even a taxi. Probably the most popular of all the pre-World War I NSUs was the 1.1-liter Voith-Red of 1909. Produced until 1913, over 8,000 of these cars were sold as they proved reliable, well-built, like all NSU products, and were comparatively low-priced compared to other cars in the German market at the time. Known as the Model 10, it sported 4 inline cylinders and could also be had in a 1.5-liter option. The largest pre-war NSU was the Model 824, which was a touring car equipped with a 3.3-liter straight 4. NSU stopped car production in 1914 to supply vehicles for the German war effort, which is a tale for another day. In the world of vintage motorcycles, NSU is quite revered. And at the same time, that could be said of their pre-war cars. After the war, they continued to make cars, but in the late 1920s, their prosperity declined, and by 1930, the car division was sold to Fiat. But NSU did it all. Prominent bicycle maker, legendary motorcycle producer, and popular car manufacturer, all before World War I. And it all began with knitting machines. Thanks for watching Vintage Car History, and we'll see you next week. Peace.